I'm moving to Montana soon. Gonna be a dental floss tycoon. Or maybe I'll just listen to today's Nice Guys on Business.
That's the big snake oil in all of this with digital marketing and marketing as a whole is everybody's promising the world and guaranteeing the world, when in reality, what they should be doing is guaranteeing knowledge and results in the form of you will be able to have more choices at your fingertips because you know what the expected return and result is.
Well, I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal. People know me. I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells like the Nice Guys on Business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community, welcome back to the episode. Today, we've got a guest who knows how to make businesses boom. So meet Ross McDaniel, the founder of Fencepost, a digital marketing agency that's all about getting businesses in front of the right customers, more leads, more visibility, and of course, more five-star reviews. Ross has cracked the code on local business growth with his local growth formula, helping roofers, electricians, HVAC pros, and other businesses dominate their market. So last year alone, his team generated over 25,000 qualified leads and over 3,000 plus glowing reviews for their clients. Now, Ross isn't just a marketing whiz. Now, I did a little behind the scenes research on you, Ross. Do you still own, or are you still in the coffee business too?
Yeah, a couple of partners and myself started Trellis Coffee Bar early last year, or I guess late 2023. And yeah, we've been cruising ever since.
Nice. So Ross, as you can see, is not just a pretty face with great hair. Now, I know under that hat, there's some great hair going on. So whether you're brewing up a killer hat campaign or a solid cup of coffee, Ross definitely knows how to keep things hot. We're talking about authentic relationships, community impact, and real business growth. We're going to dive in here and let's talk to the guy who's making it all happen. Ross, welcome to the Nice Guys.
Thanks so much, Doug. I'm glad to be here.
I talk about going back to, your fourth grade experience. You were not a guy, I'm assuming, on the playground in fourth grade saying, you know what, I'm going to grow up and be a marketing specialist. So there had to be a story behind, or maybe you were. So tell me, where did it all start? Your idea behind wanting to help people develop leads? I mean, out of every problem comes opportunity. So was it a problem in your life that you had to kind of work through and figure out, or was it something else?
It's so funny that you bring up like the fourth grade. I'm going to be a lead generation expert when I grew up. Right. Said no one ever. In fact, I actually said I was working for my stepdad as a sophomore in college at our little deli, and I remember saying I never ever want to own my own business. And so fast forward here, gosh, 15 years, 20 years later, and here we are. I think there were a couple of things that happened that really changed my mind along the way. One was I had a really great college professor who connected me with who would be my professional mentor that launched my career at the agency I started out with. And that pairing, those two critical people in my life, really helped me see just the awesome impact that not only marketing, but digital marketing could have on businesses of all shapes and sizes everywhere. But then going even further than that, I had some need, right? Like I had student loans. I had a young wife. I had hopes and dreams and a goal. And I also was learning this hard skill of Google Ads. And so I started hustling on the side. I just started building a small portfolio of side Google Ads clients to try to knock off some of that student loan debt and put us in a little bit of a better financial position. And that need, coupled with those two key people, really ignited a vision for what life could be like on my own, doing my own thing and building my own brand and company.
When did you go from chasing the dollar, as we all do when we're early on in our career? Anybody that has a checkbook is a potential client, which we know is never a good idea. But that's the reality of the startup phase, especially if you're bootstrapping a business. When did you go from that to realizing that you had a gift in this side of the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there was a moment. I remember we were working with some really cool clients, and at the time, digital marketing was enough to be a niche, right? Like this was 12, 13 years ago. If you were a digital marketer, that was niched enough to be, different in the agency ecosystem. And we were the digital agency for a couple of really cool quick service restaurant brands, a couple of bigger fintech brands that might be well known across the nation. And I remember like, wow, we are getting paid a good amount of money, but we are miserable. Like this is not fun.
It sounds like our early years also.
That's right. And this is just not fun. And then conversely, like the very next day, I'd be working with like this local mom and pop hardware store, this local mom and pop plumbing company that had been around for 45 years.
Right.
And they were paying us a ridiculous amount of money for the amount of work we were doing. And they were thrilled because we were changing their bottom line each and every month. And so the apex of, I feel like they're paying us too much and they feel like they're paying us too little, was there. And that was such a huge, very cool exchange of value, and really helped begin to solidify my passion for local growth. And then my wife's passion for authentic relationship in our community.
Yeah.
Those things all kind of began developing and culminating.
I mean, totally great. And I love the idea of the basis of the business, really the passion in the business came from the building of the relationships, because what good business doesn't have to have that as one of their foundational missions, to build better relationships. And of course, one of our listeners, you may not know our listener, Sean Carpenter, building relationships, solving problems, and having fun. And those three things are really the trifecta of perfection as it relates to, growing your business. You're in a business that's ripe with promise everything, deliver nothing, but hold on to your clients for 6 months because you got 18 grand in revenue, and that's their business model. When you start working with a lot of marketing companies, and we've been the victim of this, and we've been unfortunately, we've had we have our negative things to say about digital marketing to a degree, but I also know that it can work. So how do you swim as a golden Palomino trout in a world full of sucker fish, because really that's what you're doing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I love that analogy or metaphor. I've never heard that one, but it sticks.
I just made it up because I'm a fisherman, but it's true. I look for those Palomino trout in the stream, but I'm seeing those huge sucker fish that are they're just garbage fish. I mean, I'm sure they make people happy. They make other people happy, just not me.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So first off, digital marketing should not and is not ever gambling, right? Like it shouldn't be. However, I do think when you go engage with a marketer, or if you engage your own marketing team to explore a new channel or a new strategy, you should treat it the same way you treat going to the casino. Hey, I'm bringing this amount of money and I am fully prepared to lose all of it in exchange for this value that I'm getting back, which, go to the casino and maybe have a good time and it's fun or whatever else, right? Mm-hmm. If I win something, that's just an added bonus. I think the same, like extrapolate all the good out of that pretty negative and dark example,
right.
And go down the same path here, where at the end of the day, you should be allocating expendable dollars to expect a return of knowledge and learning. I'm actually 3/4 of the way through Beyond Entrepreneurship by Jim Collins. And he talks about that too. Like, how many times did you fail? Well, I never failed. I just learned 1,000, right? And I think that's the big snake oil in all of this with digital marketing and marketing as a whole, is everybody's promising the world and guaranteeing the world, when in reality, what they should be doing is guaranteeing knowledge and results in the form of, you will be able to have more choices at your fingertips because you know what the expected return.
Yeah, but if you're selling, and I'm not pushing back, I'm just kind of maybe yes-ending you here. If you're selling the idea of, I'm going to generate qualified leads, which will turn into appointments, which ultimately turn into business. Now, look, I can't hold a marketing company accountable for faulty sales skills. If my team can't sell, then but they are turning on the juice and I'm getting qualified leads, it's not their fault that I'm not closing the deals. That's my problem. But if most digital marketing agencies, I feel, unless I'm wrong, and maybe you're different than many of them that are out there. And again, I'm not conflicting with your business or giving any pushback, but most digital agencies sell qualified leads, booked the solid appointments that will turn into sales. Now they can't guarantee the sales, but they can guarantee, based upon a formula, they can guarantee how many leads that you're going to get coming in the door, or how many they anticipate. I know I want to learn a lesson at the same time that I'm getting business, but learning a lesson without business on the other side of it is just money that, look, I don't need to spend $3,000 a month to learn a lesson. I don't want to learn a $36,000 lesson that results in $0 in sales. And I would just love you to speak to that for a second, as the guy that's on the other side making those phone calls to potential prospects like me, saying, hey, here's an opportunity to do some marketing with our company. I'd love your comments on that.
Well, you're not wrong. Yeah, first and foremost, I don't know that I have ever actually encountered a client prospect that hasn't shared that same,
right,
if not overt. Right. Everybody's been burned, and if they're not explicit in that, there's definitely everybody's been burned, right? There's the underlying sentiment.
Well, it's the fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me. And it's like, okay, well, now what am I supposed to look for when somebody is looking at you? What is your And I know I didn't give you a chance to answer the other question, but let me just keep rolling here. What's the competitive advantage that you have over the other marketing companies that are out there that are the sucker fish rather than the Palomino trout, like I want you to be?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think what it boils down to is what's the differentiating factor in doctors? I think generally speaking, most doctors have the same textbooks, the same knowledge. If you get somebody that's been in the practice the same amount of years, you've got the same experience. It's trust. And that's what we want to provide. But the way that we are building trust is actually, creating clear guardrails and accountability, not only metrics, but rules of how money is spent. I'll get into that in a moment.
Okay.
So the accountability metrics that are agreed upon, the agreed upon expectations and outcomes, the agreed upon timeline, and then a very clear understanding of what each of the data points that are being plugged in and then output actually are.
Right.
And I think for us, what does that actually look like? Well, we're always allocating dollars to a new channel through a growth paradigm. That growth paradigm is proof, predictability, profitability, and scale.
Awesome.
Everybody thinks they're in scale, right?
Right.
So everybody says, and even marketers are like, hey, look, we're going to get you to the moon. Give us your entire ad budget right now, and let's go. But our approach is a little different because we actually, you say you've got $3,000 a month to spend on new leads for your roofing company. Well, we can't spend that much money yet. We haven't proven that we can do it one time on Facebook, on Google.
Is it all ad spend, or is there any direct messaging, any email campaigns, or do you just play in the pool of ad spend?
At Fencepost, we're focused on 4 tactics. It's review automation, local SEO, paid ads, and then landing page optimization and development.
So part of that monthly fee that somebody's going to pay you, and your fees are published, so everybody, you can go to Ross's website,
accountability,
and just find out what his fees are. Just go over there, and I'll make sure we put a link in the show notes for that. But some level of dollars have got to be allocated out of that monthly spend, or is the monthly spend above and beyond your monthly?
Yeah, it's your yacht. We're just the captains that pilot it. And so when you own your own yacht, you're paying for your own gas.
Got it.
When you have a captain of a ship, that captain of the ship's also administrating and managing other areas of that ship as well. And so your management fee with a company like Fencepost is going to all of your SEO. We're writing content. It's going to all of your review automation, and then it is going to the reporting and managing of those paid ad campaigns, which truly are like the engine of the lead gen ecosystem.
Got it. So you will help, but you will work hand in hand with, I'm assuming, your clients to determine what amount of money they should be putting into ad spend on above and beyond whatever your management fees are to put that together, correct?
Absolutely. And we want to build an ecosystem, a reporting ecosystem that you can actually say, hey, this name came through our system from you and ended up being quoted or not quoted, quoted and landed, or quoted and not landed. And so at the end of 3 months, if we haven't 3x'd or better your dollars, then you have just a business decision to make. And we want to make that very clear.
That's great. Part of the biggest challenge is that it's always some arbitrary metric that we're not in charge of or in control of setting because of our
Yeah,
inexperience. And
that's
different
right.
marketing companies use different metrics. So there's different key performance indicators that you work with when you're dealing with ad spend versus dealing with an email campaign versus dealing with direct messaging. I mean, you don't know until you start to get into the mix, and oftentimes you're 3-4 months into it and you've spent $12,000, $15,000, and I'm only
Yeah,
telling you this story because it's the same story that has gone through our business model or our business plan, yeah, multiple times, enough for me to say, hell yeah, I want to talk to a marketing person because I want to figure out which one and who is providing the best model to help our community, because we've recommended so many marketing companies and we don't want to recommend somebody until we're actually working with them and feeling comfortable with them also.
sure.
And it sounds like from that perspective, you guys are doing the right stuff. How do you swim in a pool filled with sharks though? It's got to be challenging because even you have to until you get up to bat, you don't even have an opportunity to swing. So there are so many companies telling mistruths or myths about how marketing works that oftentimes you're not even getting a chance to get at bat. How do you survive in an environment like that?
Yeah. It's the one area of the business we haven't figured out how to scale. We're working on it, and we're working on that through our just establishing a stronger culture and making sure our values are held by literally every single person within the company. And that scale piece is the authenticity that comes out of my mouth and the trust and relationship that comes out of my mouth. And you will experience it and see it when you work with us with Sarah, our
Right.
senior client success manager, or Kenrick, our Google Ads guy, or whoever else. But like ultimately, you until you get up to bat, we can't really showcase that, or we haven't quite cracked the code on that. And so the only way we know how to get more bites of the apple is telling our story as many times as possible.
No, I
But
agree with you.
yeah,
You're doing all the right stuff. I mean, your marketing materials are personal.
Hmm.
They feel comfortable. You do the right things in my doing and my team doing the amount of research that we do when the guests that come and sit in our guest seat. You can kind of tell who is the shark versus
Hmm.
who is the legit organization. Sometimes, though, the legit organizations don't have the experience behind them. It sounds like you have both the experience and the passion behind this to make this run properly. What do we want my audience to do? I know we haven't gotten into a lot of details here because there's only so much that you can go into building trust in a 20 or 30-minute conversation. So what do we want them to do so that they feel comfortable with who you are so that we can get your phone to ring using a different tool other than ad spend in order to do that?
You're kind, and I really do appreciate the kind words. We're trying to be that. The best thing that your audience can do if they're interested in figuring out for themselves if Fencepost is a shark or a what was the fish?
A golden palomino trout.
A golden palomino trout.
Those are like the holy grail of when you're fishing. If you see
That's
one of
right.
those, you know you're in a clean stream.
If you want to figure out for yourself which one of those we are, go on over to fencepost.co, fencepost.co. We'll give you a free video assessment. It'll probably be my face, maybe my right hand woman, Sarah. But we'll give you a little video assessment of everything we can see measured up against our local growth formula about your online presence.
And who is the ideal? Let's self-eliminate here for a second. Who is the
Sure.
ideal candidate to go there to your website to do the video assessment? I know that you work with a lot of local home improvement contractors and roofers and HVAC people. Is that the best environment for you, or are you okay with somebody that's a digital agency that does other business that's still looking to get leads in SEO?
We're really focused on the companies that have a local footprint and a brick and mortar or a local service area. So if you're a roofer, plumber, HVAC company doing over $1 million in revenue and have an admin person, or if you're a medical practice or a professional services firm that
Mm-hmm.
also has an admin person at the front desk, we want to work with you. We want to help build communities by growing and thriving these local service businesses.
Yeah, you brought up a valid point. So I'm thinking about attorneys that are in our
Absolutely.
our audience. financial advisors, estate planners, anyone. If you are a professional service provider, this is also a great opportunity to get the free video assessment from either Ross or Sarah on his team to make that come together. And the best place for you to get that is at fencepost.co. Go to the top right-hand portion of Ross's website, and you'll see the link that says literally free video assessments, a big green link. You cannot miss it. Ross, anything I'm missing to ask you or anything that we want to share with my audience before we wrap up here today?
There's probably so many things. You asked the great questions. I feel challenged and encouraged. So that's a great feeling. It's like going to the gym.
Well, look, I think the bottom line is this. You could get on the show, I could throw a lot of softball questions and not provide any type of experience that I've had at all. And that wouldn't be the right way to go. Or we could do this the right way. I feel like you've answered the questions. You've remained cool and calm. You haven't gotten defensive. All of the things that you want somebody that you want to build a valuable relationship with, a nice guy community. I can tell you he's doing this all with a smile, and I don't sense any flop sweat on him at all. And so great job, Ross. I appreciate you being here on the show today.
Thanks, Doug.
Hey, nice guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of a good pointed question to your guest sitting in the guest seat. Special thanks to Ross McDaniel. All of his information, including access to his website, again, fencepost.co, will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Click on the Patreon link in the show notes. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help support the podcast and get access to fun bonus content. That's like half a cup of Starbucks coffee once a month, a grande, double shot, maybe a little flavoring. Thanks for listening. I mean, seriously, you need to cut back on your caffeine anyway.